Greetings and salutations, everyone. I hope everyone is doing well. Well, the new year is upon us, and today I've got some pretty creepy Skinwalker and Dogman encounters to share with you. Before we get into these encounters, I have a couple links I'd like to share as well. As you know, I rely on my Patreon, PayPal, and merch to help this channel continue to grow and go. Those links are in the description below. I also have a second channel for creepypasta, fan fiction, and scary voice acting. If those stories are anything that you're into, follow the link below and give them a listen. You may just like them. And with that, guys, I've taken enough of your time. Let's get on with these encounters, shall we? Today's first encounter is an unidentified cryptid. Last week, me and 3 of my friends decided to go camping on one of the friend's properties. He's got about 140 acres of land that his family uses to hunt white-tailed deer and turkey. Anyway, the whole point of this trip was to be minimalists and really only bring some basic tools and blankets. This means we had no tent or food. This takes place in central Iowa near a dell, and we get to the property around 1 in the afternoon. The reason why we came so early is we knew we had to start making shelters and finding a campground that was optimal. Anyway, we had a pretty successful day finding firewood, finding a good camping spot across one of the ravines and on the other side of the hill. This part is not very important, but it is to tell you that we had no weird experiences during the daytime. I had gotten a text from one of the group chats I'm in asking if one of our friends could join us to hang out for the night, but he had to leave in a few hours. Keep in mind, it's already 8 p.m. by this time, so it's kind of weird that he's wanting to come and hang out at the campsite for only a few hours. But of course, I said yes. We didn't catch any food and we were hungry, so we asked him if he could pick up some canned beans for us to cook by the fire on this sheet wire we found and used it as a grill. He gave me a call around 8:50 telling me he arrived at the GPS point I gave him. Drop a pin iMessage. So me and 2 other guys left with rifles to go retrieve him. The reason why we left with rifles is because Iowa has mountain lions. And trust me, you don't want to tangle with one of them. We left the 3rd guy at camp because he's a bit older and has a pretty jacked up foot, so the amount of walking we already did kind of jacked him up. On our way to get him, we didn't hear anything abnormal or weird, but we did pick up some eye shine that had fairly big eyes. Could have easily been a deer, though. We pick up the guy, and while we were walking back, we hear talking, like conversations. They were laughing, then there was a scream. It was weird because the voices sounded close, but you couldn't really pick up what they were saying. We froze, and the buddy that we picked up said, "Sounds travel far out at night, in the quiet." We agreed with him and continued to walk back to camp. Personally, I didn't hear anything else beyond that, but I always wondered why we heard that conversation when the nearest neighbor was miles away. We had a 5th guy coming to camp with us for the night, but this man was so bogus. He wasn't able to come to camp until 10 p.m., and even when he started traveling to the GPS point, he got a flat tire and we had to pick him up an hour away. We returned with the guy back at 11:30, and I was just sick of going back and forth, so once we got to camp, we had a total of 5 guys and I fell asleep. This is where my story ends and my friends continue. Me and 2 other guys were exhausted and fell asleep, but one of my friends and the guy we had to pick up with the blown tire decided to do a night expedition. They were walking through the deer hunting trails and apparently had gotten lost into some swamp-like area. They had some bugs swarm them and eventually found themselves in a place with a creek and a 40 to 50 foot limestone wall. He said he felt like something was looking at them from the well. He got really scared, so he told the other guy to start finding their way back, and apparently He kept hearing rustling noises and feeling like they were being followed. That's all his story pretty much. Let me know on your thoughts what you think it could be. We came up with a flesh gate, or just some odd experiences. Today's second encounter is a Dogman encounter, April 17, 2016. During the evening, a woman was driving on a rural road near West Newton when she noticed ahead of her a tall, dark figure emerge from the right side of the road and move up the road just as she was approaching the area. She slowed down and looked at this 7-foot-tall creature covered with brown and reddish hair. The witness noticed that the arms were very long and skinny, and the creature had large red eyes that were glowing in the dark. The witness, who had no interest or belief in Bigfoot, became very frightened and left the area quickly. She also stated that the head was abnormally large and looked like a German Shepherd. Today's third encounter is a Skinwalker encounter. My grandpa would tell me this story when I was little. He said that he was in a field on his horse one day when he saw a badger walk by. Then he got his rope, got off the horse, and put it around the neck of the badger. He said it was so strong that it was dragging him, so he let go. He watched it go behind some bushes and then saw the rope sort of poking out from the bushes, but the rope wasn't moving. So he thought it might have gotten loose and left. When he went to get his rope, he saw an old man with no clothes, hunched behind the bush. They looked at each other for a few seconds, and my grandpa got scared. So he got back on his horse as fast as he could. When he looked back, he saw the old man climbing over a hill. Then one time it happened to me. I was in school at the time, and I used to live in the mountains, so the bus would drop me off, and I'd have to walk a half a mile to the house. I was walking down the hill and heard something walking on the leaves. So I looked down the hill and saw this guy with no clothes, crawling. But he was like an animal as well. He had white feathers in his hair. When I saw his face, he looked like a wolf mixed with a human. It eventually took off in the other direction. That night I was lying down, and it was so quiet I heard drums playing outside my window. I got up, looked outside, and saw a pack of wolves in the field running around. I don't know what to make of it, really weird, but I'll never forget it. Today's fourth and final encounter is an unidentified cryptid. I heard this from my boyfriend's brothers on a night we were all taking a walk together. The road was hilly and to the left leading to some buildings that didn't see much use. The other side had dense shrubbery with only a few areas clear enough to see into. Half of this is behind my boyfriend's house, and the lower half down the road leads to a huge park full of trails and more trees. On this same road we are coming back from a walk. My boyfriend's brother tells me about something they saw about a year ago in the bushes lining this road. It was around midnight or so. They said that they were walking up on a little cleared spot in the line of bushes when they saw it. The little brother estimates that it was around 7 feet tall with long arms and legs. It was very pale with dark beady eyes and barely noticeable mouth. He also said that he couldn't remember it having ears or a nose, and that it had no hair. He said it just looked at them for a while, as they were frozen in shock. Then it shifted a bit towards them, startlingly fast. The older brother shouted, "Run!" and they bolted down the street towards the intersection where the bushes ended. The little brother told me later that he felt like he had been followed a good 20 feet or so, until it disappeared back in the bushes. I don't know if they were pulling my leg and trying to scare me, but I think they're telling the truth. Lots of other people have seen things like this as well. I just didn't know they'd be in California and live so close to me. Well, there you have it, guys. 4 short cryptid encounters. Let me know what you think of these. I especially liked the third one, the Skinwalker, with the grandfather reminiscing about his incident or encounter. Very strange, you know. You're young, you're roping badger, and all of a sudden there's a naked man behind a bush. I don't know. I like these stories, and I hope you guys did too. Like I said, I'm working on some big stories to share with you. I've got a reptilian encounter coming from Pennsylvania. This is unbelievable, guys. You guys are going to love it. And with that, I bid you farewell.